Hey,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm good. What about yourself?
It's early and I've been fighting a little cold, but I'm good.
Okay, yeah, nice, nice. I see the call is also being recorded. Cool.
Yeah, is that
So,
okay?
yeah, no problem. That's no problem for me. I think this is your first call.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the whole Google Meet. I've been trying to figure out, all right, how do I share my screen? How do I?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
No, that's no problem. Yeah, so I can maybe introduce myself first, and then you
okay.
can yeah go ahead. So my name is Jelte Egbert. Also, I'm yeah from Netherlands, Amsterdam.
Oh, nice.
Maybe yeah, it's a bit of a different location than you're from. Where are you?
I'm in Idaho right now, but I played football over in Scotland, and Amsterdam had a team. So I've been to all the places in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's different, right? Than
very different. It's different
right.
during the day and at night. Totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I came across this community a few days ago, and yeah, I thought it was really cool. So yeah, I checked out the videos, and yeah, I tested out like the movement with that you do
yeah.
this, and with the eyes, like the yawning. So yeah, I immediately saw like a difference in my eyes, and I had like a lot of headache here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
I did the exercises back when seems like it was forever ago. I'm going to update those videos by the way cuz they're about 10 years old. But it it really surprised me cuz I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever. I see all this stuff. It can't be that easy, and then I did the sunning and was just like, oh, okay. And then just like everything else, I was like, I'm all right. I'm good. I'm not going to do them for a while. And then a few years later, I was like, oh, I can't see again. I need to I need to make sure I keep doing those. Kind of like going to the gym. You go once, and it's like, yeah, it's not going to give you the full effect. You got to keep going.
Mhm. Yeah.
Are you looking at a computer screen a lot during the day?
Yeah, like yeah, every day for maybe 10 hours. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're doing that, so you're supposed to blink once every 2 to 3 seconds, but when you're actually staring at a computer, the first problem is that it's a certain distance away from you. So you're focused on that. And when you're really focused on the computer screen, you only blink like once every 30 seconds. So your eyes can get really dry, and you can get a headache from the eye strain. Cause I mean, I know how it is. You get into the computer stuff and stuff you're doing, and you're just like this, and you're just like, all right, this is awesome. And then you're forgetting that you need to take a break. You should probably take a break at least once every 45 minutes or so. And if you do have that, it's kind of like being nearsighted because you can see really well up close, but when you try to look far away, it's a little fuzzier. And so it's important to do the shifting exercise. So when you take the break, you're going to do the yawning like you were talking about. And that helps to relax the TMJ joint right here. It helps to stretch out the muscles in the neck. You can even do the little stretches like that and just trying to loosen everything up. And then pick something in the distance, and but hopefully you have a window somewhere when you're working.
Yeah.
So you just kind of do that, do the yawning, do the deep breathing, because it's all about the relaxation, and then it's all about the breathing because you want to get as much oxygen up to the brain as possible. So you sit up, you're looking out the window, you pick two objects, so one kind of medium distance and one way off in the distance. And as you're sitting there, you focus on the medium distance, the far distance, and then work your way back. And that's working on the muscles of the eye to make sure that it doesn't get stuck in one position because you're focused on one spot. And that really is a really good exercise to help focus your focus.
Yeah, that's cool. And it will
Yeah.
also improve your eyes, right?
Yeah, because I mean the eyeball basically. I have my trusty little model here. So the eyeball has muscles on the sides. So we have one on top, we have one on either side, and we have one down here. And what happens is the muscles contract based on where you're looking. And if it's used to looking at your computer screen, then that one muscle is going to be tight trying to focus on that. And then when you try to look up, you have to be able to relax that muscle so that it actually can focus on a further distance and help it relax. Because one of the exercises you can do So, and I'm going to try to figure out, I can just email these different diagrams to you. I'm also finishing up, I edited my vision book. And so I'm going to, I'm changing the cover and did some editing. So I'll send you a copy of that as well as part of a thanks for joining the group. So this first one is called the mandala. Actually, this is called the Tibetan wheel. Can I make it bigger? Oh, wait, I'll make it smaller so you can actually see the whole thing sort of. So with the Tibetan wheel, what you do is you focus on one of the outside circles, and then you gradually work your way down, because you don't want to look at something and try to see the entire image. You want to focus on one part of it. And so you're going to focus on that one circle at the top or on the sides. And you'll notice if you really focus on it, now you don't want to squint. You just want to kind of look at it and make sure you're blinking and relaxing, because when you blink, you get that natural contact lens of tears over your eyes. And so you focus on that one dot, and you'll notice the rest of it gets a little blurry. And then you just work your way down, looking at different parts of the line here and the shape. And then you work your way down to the middle here, the white dot in the center. And then you keep doing that. You can start from the center and work your way out. And this is really helping to change the tension in those muscles of the eye, and also to help stretch them, which is really important. And this is the mandala way over here. I just can't get rid of that X because I downloaded it. But it's the same idea with this one on the side right here. You focus on different parts of the image. It's a very complex image, so you can't take it all in at once. You just want to focus on one part and kind of trace. They call it tracing or analytic vision. And so you just look your way up and down and all around the different spaces. Same thing's true for the vision chart. And I'll send all these charts to you too. So with the vision chart, it's called the Snellen chart. Everybody tries to see the whole thing, and they're like squinting, trying to see it and all that. Well, like we said before, you need to make sure you're relaxed. And so you have to do all the stretching, the deep breathing. It's kind of like meditation for the breathing to get more oxygen to the brain. You inhale for, say, a count of 4. You hold it for 4, then you exhale through the mouth. It's in through the nose, hold it out through the mouth twice as long as you inhale. And that really helps you relax. It is kind of a meditation type of effect. And this is something that I did in one of my talks. It was crazy. I don't know if you saw the testimonials, but this one lady was in the talk, and she was 72, I think. And just during the time of the talk, she did the exercises. At the beginning, she did the Snellen chart. She could read line 5. And then she did the exercises, and she stood up and she could read the line below that. And she couldn't believe it. She was like, I only did it once and I'm already seeing better. And she had to take her driver's test and was worried she wasn't going to pass, because she had to take the vision part. And she said, I went through it, did the left eye, did the right eye, passed with flying colors, no mistakes. And so she was really excited about that. So what you do with the chart is you print it out and you put it about 10 feet away from you, and you cover one eye and go through, and then you cover the other eye and go through, because often there's a different prescription, so to speak, or lack of acuity from one eye to the other. And so that way you can kind of know which one you need to work on the most. But like I said before, you don't want to try to see, you just want to accept what you can see, even if it's just blurry images or shapes or whatever that might be. And this is really going to help you focus just on one part of the image. So any questions about that so far?
No. I think it's good knowledge. So, definitely helps me. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does help. But that was the funny thing, because I wanted to wear glasses because I thought that it made people look smart. And finally in the 8th grade, I started wearing glasses, but I had an astigmatism, which is where the instead of the eye being round, it's kind of egg shaped. And so they said back then you can't use contact lenses for that. And I played football, so I was like, American football for you, and I couldn't wear glasses while I was playing. And I tried to wear contacts, but I was always getting poked in the eye and stuff, and my contact would get messed up. And so finally I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to wear contacts and just try to play without them. And it was interesting, because when you play teams, one's the home team, one's the away team, obviously. And I think it's the away team that has white jerseys. And so it was much easier for me to tell. I was on defense. It was much easier for me to tell who had the ball because I could see the contrast of the color of the football against the white jersey. But if it was a home game and they were wearing a darker color, I couldn't tell where the ball was. So I was just kind of trying to figure it out and playing blind, for lack of a better word. So
That's crazy.
it was pretty crazy because the lens basically just focuses the light images and then it takes it to the retina where it interprets it, and then it sends those light images, which are inverted, which is funny. So it's upside down in the back of the retina, kind of like when you're doing a selfie, but you're looking right at the screen, so everything's backwards. So if you have letters on your shirt or whatever, it's backwards. But the brain interprets that and sends it through the optic nerve to the visual processing center in the back of the brain. And if there's any issue with any kind of conductivity from the eyeball to the back of the brain, then the image isn't going to process correctly. And what happens is, as we get older, there's ciliary muscles around the outside of the lens itself that kind of control the thickness. It helps it focus. But as we get older, those muscles get tired because they're tiny, tiny little muscles. And so then, and the lens gets less flexible, so it can't really change its thickness. And that's why these exercises are so important, especially when you're older, because it can change where the retina is in the fovea centralis, which is the focal point in the eye. And so image comes through and say that it's focusing on a space in front of the eye because of the shape of the eye, then you're nearsighted. And so you can see things up front, but when you try to look far, you can't. And then you're farsighted if you can see far away, but not up close. And that's when the retina is closer to the lens than it needs to be. So it's focusing the image behind the retina. And it was kind of like, for me, I just thought of this the other day. If you're shining a flashlight in the distance, it spreads out a lot and it's kind of fuzzy, you know, but if you hold a flashlight really close to the wall, it's more clear and focused. And so that's one of the things. So it's all about moving how far the lens is from the back of the eye. And that can only be done by changing the tension in the muscles.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. And
Yeah.
do you also have like a sort of when I was younger, always in school, I was reading the sort of tests we had,
Yeah.
but then I had headache or something through
Yeah.
reading it, and I couldn't really read it really well or something.
Right. That's
Do you
from
have
the eye
some?
strain.
Okay, yeah, and do you have some tips to solve that, or what kind of exercises will be good?
Right. The exercises for that would be, even on the eye chart, when you're focusing on the eye chart, don't focus like the big E at the top. Don't focus on the entire E. Just focus on little parts like the upper left corner of the letter and then back down. And that helps your eye focus on certain parts, which will bring the whole image into focus. And you want to do the eye stretches. Another eye stretch you can do, aside from the deep breathing and the yawning. If you're working at home, that's not a big deal. But if you're working in an office, then everybody's thinking something's weird because you're yawning and stretching and stuff during the day. But taking the breaks every 45 minutes to an hour is really important. But I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay.
But yeah, when you're looking up close and you start to get a headache, that's a sign that your eyes are straining. So you do need to take that break and do some blinking. And the blinking, you can do one eye and then both eyes and open them, and then the other eye and both eyes and open them. And then eventually you go back and forth like that. And that's going to help create that lens of tears over the eye, which is really important. But for you, another exercise you can do is stretching those muscles. And you do that by looking straight ahead, and then you can look up to the side and kind of work your way around like you're looking at a clock face. And you go around 10 times clockwise, 10 times counterclockwise. And that really makes sure that the muscles that are tight, that are causing that headache, will start to relax. And so that should get rid of the headache.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just train it more. Even.
Right. It's just a muscle, just like every other muscle. You have to train it and stretch it as well. And another little trick for headaches, there's something called the supraorbital notch in the bone right above the eye. And you can press on that, and that presses on that nerve. You can feel the little notch in there.
Mm-hmm.
and then you just press on that, and that'll make the headache go away right away.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
And but then when you take it off, it starts to come back again. But that's why doing the stretching and the relaxation is so important.
Okay, yeah. So really, yeah, just it's like a signal that you were
Training.
watching to, yeah, yeah.
You're too focused, which is important because you want to be focused on what you're working on, but you have to think about yourself and be like, okay, I know I got to focus on this, but let me take a break so I actually can focus and take it all in without starting to get eye strain. A lot of times when you're really focused, everything else starts to get blurry because you're just really, really focused on that.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And
Yeah.
how did you so you like solved your vision and everything through
Yeah.
of course these exercises.
Yeah.
But how long did that take?
Well, for me, I don't know if I'm a unique case or what, but because of how it works so well for me, that's why I wrote these 3 books on it, because it's not just about the exercises, it's about your nutrition too. You have to have enough omega-3 fatty acids. Carrots, ironically, if you cut a carrot in half and look at the end, it actually looks kind of like an eye. And that's interesting because carrots have beta carotene, which helps a lot with night vision or low light vision. And just another aside, if you look at a walnut is good for your memory and your brain, and it looks kind of like a brain. So it's really interesting stuff. But nutrition's important. The fatty fish is really important because there's something called a myelin sheath on the outside of the nerve, of all the nerves. And so you have the nerve, and there's a little bubble, for lack of a better word, on either side of the nerve or all around the nerve. And so when you get an impulse down that nerve, if you start to lose that muscle or the fat around the nerve, it doesn't travel as fast. And so that's something that happens with people that have ALS, that the nerve impulses travel a lot slower. And so it's important to have enough fatty acids in your diet. And it's important, obviously, all the good stuff that your parents told you should eat, all your vegetables and fruit and that kind of stuff, that is something that's really important. And personally, I found if you drink a lot of caffeine, some caffeine is okay because it helps with circulation. But if you do too much caffeine, then it increases your heart rate, increases your blood pressure, and causes more strain in the whole body. So that's something to really focus on. Also, this is something people don't believe, but cayenne pepper, they have supplements of cayenne pepper that you can buy, and it helps to relax the arteries, the lining of the arteries, and actually helps to clear them out too if you have any atherosclerosis or buildup in the artery. And that helps a lot with brain function, energy, because you get more oxygen up to the brain. And the only caveat to that is you have to make sure you eat something after you take that supplement or eat one of those peppers, because if not, it's going to give you really bad heartburn. But I've done that as well. But back to your question. So I'd done some research, and I was very skeptical. I was just kind of like, wait, I just do exercises and I'm going to be able to see better? I don't see how that's going to work. And I went outside one day. I was at the grocery store, and I just came outside and decided I was going to do some sunning. But because I hadn't done enough research yet, I didn't know exactly how to do it. So I look up at the sun, and I put my hands up like this, and you do this, and that helps block some of the UV light that comes from the sun. But the sun itself, when it shines on you or on the back of the neck, depending on how light sensitive you are, it gives you vitamin D, which is also very healthy. So I was doing this, but I had my eyes open. And so I'm like squinting at the sun and going like this and going like this. And I did it one time, and I could see better for a year or 2 years.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just like, wow. And then I read later, when I researched more, that's what encouraged me to research more. They had William Bates was the ophthalmologist that came up with this in the early 1900s. And he got sued actually, he didn't get sued. There was another lady that started teaching his practices, these different exercises. And she got sued because they said that she was going to cause retinal burns, so people couldn't see. But she had 300 celebrities that she had worked with and other patients that showed up in court and said they could see better and they didn't have any problems at all. So she got sued twice, and both times it got thrown out because so many people came forward and said, no, I'm seeing better and I don't have any problems with my vision at all anymore. And the author Aldous Huxley that wrote Brave New World. He was legally blind, and he had glasses that were super, super thick. And he did the exercises, and he was so impressed by what happened. He didn't get to where he could not wear his glasses at all, but he reduced his prescription a lot, that he went on to write a book about vision as well, because he was just like, this is crazy. So there's all kinds of anecdotal evidence that it actually works. My third book that I wrote has all the research, all these different researches. It's not a very exciting read, but all the different research that backs it up that the vision can be corrected. And it actually focuses more on the chiropractic part of it, how if you take pressure off the bones in the upper neck, that helps you get a better connection of the nerves up to the brain. And I'm choking. But there's so much evidence out there that you can correct your vision naturally, but there's so much money in the optometry and medical field in general, they don't want anybody to know about it. And Bates was actually in New York, and he was very well respected. He actually came up with another technique to help your hearing, and I think it actually was a device of some sort. So all his coworkers and other doctors that he knew thought he was just amazing, but then he took a chance and was just like, you know what, I don't think this giving people glasses, yeah, it helps them see at the time, but it makes them dependent on those glasses. So they have to keep coming back again and again to get stronger and stronger prescriptions. That's great for the optometrist, makes them a lot of money, but it's not really helping the person that just wants to see better.
Yeah. Weird how that works, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, but the economy is standing, so
Yeah,
it's
it's
it
true.
has both sides.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And so what was the exercise you were saying, like this?
I did the sunning. You can do sunning, but you should do it if you're light sensitive. A lot of people that have astigmatisms and other more serious eye conditions, they're very light sensitive. So instead of doing sunning, you do something called skying, where you look up to the sky with the sun behind you, and you still get the benefits of the sun on your neck, helps relax the muscles, gives you the vitamin D. And then you do that, or you can just turn your head side to side, and that you get more, if you're looking up at the sun, turn your head side to side, and it gives you that warmth and the vitamin D on either side. And then if you want to, you get to the advanced part, because you have to do the strobe light effect, because it helps stimulates the specialized cells in the back of the eye. It's called the rods and cones. And this is an interesting fact too. So there's a lot more dense concentration of the cones around the fovea centralis, or the focal point in the eye, because the cones actually interpret colors. But if you go further out, then the cones kind of disperse and you get more of the rods, and doing the sunning helps stimulate both of them. But the rods only help in low light conditions. So here's another neat trick. If you're in a dark room trying to figure out where the door is, you don't want to look straight at where you think the door is. You want to look at a 45-degree angle, because that changes the light and focuses it on the rods where it can see in low light conditions, and you'll actually be able to see where the door is. So it's kind of interesting. You kind of walk sideways and find the door, but you can actually do it that way. And when they're light sensitive, they start with the skying, and then they go back and work their way up to doing the sunning, but with their eyes closed. And the important thing about sunning, because it stimulates the specialized cells inside the eye, but you also want to do palming. And palming, you need to do just as much palming as you do sunning, because what the palming does is you put the palm of your hand over the cheekbone, cross your fingers over like so, and do the other side, and you'll see that it's dark, but you'll also see, if your eyes are strained, you'll see little flashes of light, like purple and red, different colors, like you're still kind of looking up at a light or something like that. So what the palming does, it helps regenerate what they call visual purple in the eye, so that keeps things balanced. So you stimulated the cells in the eye, and now you want to calm them down again, which all goes back to the relaxation. And while you're doing the palming, you do that deep breathing at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can we do a practice?
Sure.
Or something? Yeah.
Which one you want to do?
You can just tell me. I will just practice it.
Okay. So if you're doing sunning, you're going to face the sun. You kind of look up. You can start with the head side to side like that, just to kind of warm up, stretch out the muscles of the neck. And then you can stop doing that, start doing the back and forth like that. And even like right now, I can get that strobe light effect, and you can kind of feel it in your eye that it's doing the strobe light effect. You can do this for 5 minutes. So doing that. Then you're going to do,
like
oh, go ahead.
facing the sun?
Yes. Unless
Okay,
are you
yeah.
light sensitive?
No,
Yeah.
don't think so.
So then just facing the sun with your eyes closed, doing that. And then do that for 5 minutes. And then you're going to do the palming. And you need to have your elbows supported, like on a table. You can lean forward on a table or a desk. And it's like this, like that, like this, and like that. So go ahead and do that and tell me if you see. No, the palm's more up on the cheekbones.
Okay.
Yeah, up on the cheekbones, and then
Or
cross your fingers over your forehead. Hands are still a little too low. You want to go up here so you can still see your mouth. There you go.
not sure what are
And then cross your fingers over, right, and see how dark it is.
Yeah.
And are you seeing any flashing lights at all or anything like that?
I don't.
Some
I'm
here
not
and
sure.
there. Yeah.
Not
Well,
sure.
you see, try doing that after you've been working on the computer a long time, and you will see some flashing lights and just kind of weird images and stuff. So you're going to do the palming at least as long as you do the sunning, and do the deep breathing while you're palming. And you want to wait until it's totally dark. So you want to visualize like a black cat or a black piano, something like that, to really focus on getting it as dark as possible, because that's what's regenerating that visual purple. So you want to do that. And then you can do the sway, like we talked about, how you're relaxing and you're just swaying back and forth with your eyes open. And you're gonna notice as you go to the right, it looks like everything's going the opposite direction. And so you're just kind of noticing that, and because it's the movement and the relaxation that you want to do at the same time. So you're just rocking back and forth with your whole body. And then you can also use this when you're just walking in general. Look down at the ground. You're walking forward, but you'll notice, are you going forward or is the ground going backwards? Because you're going this way, but that looks like it's going that way. So that's just another interesting thing to notice. So also when you're doing the swaying, you can hold your thumb out and focus on your thumb, and that really accentuates the oppositional movement of what's going behind you. So that really makes it look like, okay, that stuff in the distance is really moving the opposite direction of where I'm going. So that's the sway. Then you want to do the long swing. And with the long swing, you have your arms nice and relaxed. You turn one way. And so if you're turning to the left, you turn until your right heel comes off the ground. And then you turn the opposite way. And that is just another thing. You're noticing the oppositional movement of everything going the opposite direction. And then also with this one, you can hold your thumb up and go back and forth like this. And you can do one arm and then the other arm, because when you go to the right, you bring your left arm up. When you go to the left, you bring your right arm up, but you're just swinging nice and relaxed. And so that's that one. And then you can do that with your eyes closed, just so it helps with your proprioception or your brain's awareness of what's going on in the body. And you can also do the cross crawl. This one's a little trickier because it stimulates both hemispheres of the brain, which is going to help you heal faster. It's kind of related to, if this happens a lot, if someone breaks their arm and they exercise or work out with the opposite arm, it helps this side heal faster. And they don't really understand why that is, but it's because this side, your right side of your brain, controls your left side of your body and vice versa. So if you're working out this side, there's still some crossover, so it helps this side to heal faster. But the cross crawl exercise is you're standing there and you bring your right hand and bring your left knee up. And so you're just going back and forth like that while you're standing. And you do that, and that helps stimulate the hemispherical difference on one side to the other. And then you try doing this with your eyes closed, and while you're standing, you'll notice it's kind of hard to keep your balance. But that's kind of the point. You want to make sure you can do this keeping your balance, which is really important. And then for you, like we said, do the breaks during the day. So every 45 minutes, have a timer on your phone or something go off and be like, all right, just kind of sit back and be like, I need to do my exercises. And you deep breathe in through the nose, hold it, and let it out twice as long, and do a couple of those. And then you're going to look and do the shifting, where you're looking at something a little bit further away and then a lot further away, and go back and forth like that. And you'll notice, if you're focusing on the thing that's in the middle between the two objects, that everything else gets blurry because you're changing your focal point or what you're focusing on. So you keep doing that. And then you can also hold your thumb up for that one, and notice that when you look past it, your thumb almost disappears because you're not focusing on your thumb at all. You're just really focusing on distant objects. So that is, and the yawning, of course, to help you relax. But that's the thing that I would recommend most for you, because since you are
Okay.
looking at a computer a lot, that's going to help a lot with relieving the tension in the eyes. Plus the like I was saying, the tracking the clock face with your eyes to make sure going all around that way, all around this way. You can go side to side and up at an angle, up and down, things like that, to help make sure that all the extraocular muscles, or the muscles on the outside of the eye, are actually stretched out and working together, and there's not one that's tighter than the other. And you'll notice sometimes when you're going around the clock face, there's little glitches here and there where it won't go as smoothly as it should. And that's just showing you that one of the muscles aren't balanced like it should be. And so that's why you got to keep doing that to help make sure they're all balanced out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will need to leave now, but I will this week I'll definitely try those exercises when I'm working. And yeah, I will maybe next week. Next week you will have the same call, or
normally I don't, but I will just for you because you're so special.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I'm going to send you a Snellen chart so you can use that to kind of test yourself ahead of time. And then after you've done it for a week or two, do it again to track your progress. I'm also going to have, you can just get a notebook and write it down, be like, okay, this is the date. This is how my vision felt. This is the line that I could read on the Snellen chart. And then after you do it for a while, do it again and notice your progress.
okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Definitely.
And how do you know how I would send a downloadable document? Do I just send it in the chat? Can I do that, or do I just need to email it to you?
Yeah, you can email it. I can send my email in the chat, but
okay,
you can try it first in the chat if that works.
Okay, I will do that, and I'll send you some of the other images too, so you can practice on those.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, really appreciate that you're
absolutely.
Doing this.
I'm excited to hear how you get better. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I hope so.
It will.
So
all right.
Yeah, thanks for your time, and
absolutely.
Yeah, have a great week. See you next week.
All right. You too.